you need to understand that loyalty platform is a channel, like every channel, that you need to specialize in. You need to have the right events, you need to have enough content, you need to understand your game mechanics and flow, you need to understand what events are extremely important for a user to stick in the game.
Ido Raz, what is a loyalty app and how it is different from rewarded video or an offer wall?
So a loyalty app is a place where a user discovers games that are obviously recommended on a personal taste, that offers rewards based on progression within those games. And the way it's different from offer walls, there's a huge difference even in the basic of things. Like an offer wall is an ad placement at the end of the day. We are a platform, we are an app that is located on the device. We can work with the user, obviously, and an offer wall can't. And the main difference as well is that an offer wall sends the user outside the game, and we're pushing the user to stay in the game all the time. So there's a bunch of differences.
Can you walk me through the journey from player's perspective, like when it comes from a discovery to an install to becoming a loyal player on a platform like the one that you run, VYBS?
Different platforms has their own different user journeys, but in essence, a user will sign into the platform. Once he will sign in, he will get offered a bunch of games based on the recommendation engine. And with each game, he will get a bunch of, can be tasks that are based on time. It can be tasks that are based on achieve this kingdom or this level. And once he will press on the game, he will go to the App Store, let's say Google Play, to download the game. And once he started playing, as he progresses within the game, he obviously achieves more tasks and more eventually rewards. And once he accumulates enough loyalty points, let's say, he can then redeem a gift card, like a Sephora, Zara, Google Play, doesn't really matter. Real world rewards.
So it's essentially like an app store on steroids, because it's like an app store with recommendations based on personalization, and playing a game, putting in the engagement in a specific game rewards you with not only in-game rewards, but actually tangible rewards outside the game.
You can say it's some sort of a discovery platform as well, like as you said, an app store of sorts that is more interactive, more tailor-made. As we said, you get recommended to different games based on your personal taste, but also you get different, let's say, tasks within different games based on your behavior. It's more dynamic. It's not like one size fits all.
And how does this work as a business? Like, I'm talking about the pricing, because if your focus is on loyalty and engagement,
Right.
it's not
Right.
really the typical let's drive as much traffic as possible, because you're trying to keep the players specifically in these games. So what's the business side of this?
So we work with all of our clients on a CPI model, and now we kind of moved to a ROAS model where we tell them, don't give us a fixed CPI. We will predict how much the user will be at value for you. And based on that, we'll price them. And at the end of the day, you will pay us an effective CPI. But obviously, because we're aiming to hit their KPIs and the ROAS goals long term, so we found that it's better for us and for the clients, obviously, to work on an ROAS optimization type of model.
So they are paying for the long-term investment and engagement of that player rather than only based on the install in the beginning. Because typically, if they would pay only on CPI install, then that could be pretty high of a price. If
It's also give them the ability to scale with us. Like we just talked about it yesterday with one of our clients, like that we He was one of the design partners for the ROAS optimization engine. So we were kind of stuck for a long period of time because, let's, for the sake of the example, he wanted to pay $10 CPI and he wanted to get 10% was day seven, right? So you are very limited with the type of users you can send his way, right? And once you move to ROAS optimization and you kind of predict what users will be worth what and how much you need to price them based on that. So it kind of opened him to work with all of our user base because some users are worth way more than $10. Some users are worth way less, but that way he could have scaled, and we just saw it like week after week. He just like ramped up.
And talking about scaling, can loyalty apps be a primary channel for player acquisition?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I see today that even big companies are spending somewhere in the 25 to 50% of their media budget into loyalty platforms. Um, and we're talking about like hundreds of thousands of dollars a day in spend in a specific platform. I saw that as well. So I think today it's a major driver compared to other years where it was, I would say, in the sidelines.
Hmm. And how about the classic criticism? I mean, I've been criticizing incentivized traffic a lot based on my experience, which were not loyalty apps back in the days. I'm old
Yeah,
enough
give it to me. Give it
to
to me.
be with the with the offer walls, and every time we get an offer wall campaign going, I would see it from the product perspective as a surge of new users and all the KPIs collapsing. Basically, seeing that in my books, incentivized traffic was the same as low LTV. Web stores. You've seen what good looks like, but have you seen great? AppCharge is the direct-to-consumer platform backed by the likes of Supercell and built by monetization pros from Moon Active, Playtika, Huge Games, and others. People who know the difference. AppCharge powers over $500 million in transaction a year for top studios, optimizing every detail. Deeply personalized web store offers custom-made design, industry-leading monetization features, in-game payments, SDK, and more. 70% of top grossing games already have a web store, but the ones scaling fastest, they're doing it with AppCharge. Learn more at appcharge.com.
The main concern about loyalty platforms, it's the flatlining, right? Everybody's concerned what's going to happen after the reward structure will be finished. Is a user still going to stay? And I think that's like one of the biggest problems of the industry today. It's something that is being affected by so many, let's say, different things within the user's journey. Like how much rewards do you give him? What's the reward structure? How is it built? Is it linear? Is it not linear? Is it depressing? Is it declining? Is it rising? Like there's so many ways to work around it. What kind of users are you sending? And how do you recommend a specific user to the game that matches his taste? Um, so I think the way I see it is that loyalty platforms today can serve as a major driver um, for scaling, for fast recouping. Um, it will definitely be a challenge for, let's say, the games that the recouping period is, let's say, a year and a half, a lot after the reward structure is being done.
Mm-hmm.
It's a challenge, 100%. I think it's the biggest challenge of the industry. Um, and specifically, it's the biggest challenge of the big companies that take a lot of time to recoup. But we see that it can definitely work, not just with us, obviously. I see it with other loyalty platforms as well that are doing a great job by recommending the right games to the right users, by building the right reward structure. Um, in the sense that, because you have to understand, also within the reward structure, you can create what I like to call an abuse. You can over give and you can build a reward structure in a way that a user can get frustrated, but you can also build it in a way that it's I'm not going to say a nice to have thing for the user, but like an extra thing for the user.
Mhm.
It's not his main goal. I see that mistake with a lot of loyalty platforms, specifically even the new ones. They are glorifying money too much instead of glorifying achievements. And they try to throw more money at the user. And eventually, what it creates is obviously the flat line um, and a big abuse.
And what do you think are the best genres, both in terms of the best quality of players and those that fit these loyalty platforms?
I saw it work for almost all the genres. Like, I haven't seen a genre like that I can say, well, this is not working for them 100%. Like, I saw it from casual to mid-core to core strategy, whatever it is. Like, I see it. I see the companies that are buying media from loyalty. I see the companies that are working with us, um, and yeah, and it's working. I think it's really a matter of not the specific genre. It's more a matter of um, does the company that buys media from the loyalty platforms, uh, let's say, knows how to work with loyalty platforms.
What do you mean by that?
The biggest misconception that I saw a lot of the times is that loyalty platforms are magic. I'm going to throw a dollar, I'm going to get to 100% no matter what because I'm incentivizing the user. It's not the case. The thing is that you need to understand that loyalty platform is a channel, like every channel, that you need to specialize in. You need to have the right events, you need to have enough content, you need to understand your game mechanics and flow, you need to understand what events are extremely important for a user to stick in the game. You need to understand and see that the user have enough time to get to those events. Like, there's a lot of work to be done, um, and more today, because obviously loyalty platforms are becoming such a mainstream channel. You see with all the major companies, and also not the big ones, you see departments of people that are specializing in loyalty. That's their entire focus, working with loyalty platforms and making it work, because it requires attention and resources.
Okay. And when it comes to these players that are coming through loyalty platforms, are they inherently different than the players that are acquired from traditional channels?
So it definitely behaves differently, 100%. It progresses much faster. Um, so yes, in the short term, the players are different. In the long term, if you're doing a good job, those users will behave like users that are coming from every other channel. And you will see it after the reward structure is done. Uh, I would say a couple of weeks after, where there is no incentive. Uh, and I heard it a lot from a bunch of our clients that, let's say, if the reward structure is finished at day 45, when they look at the traffic at day 90, all the sources are behaving the same. Because the users that stick, they just stick. It's just like users. Um, what is different is that you have the ability in loyalty platforms. You have the ability to work with the user. You have the ability to push the users to do actions that you want. And I think that's like a huge advantage if you know how to work with it.
Understood. And what makes like I'm curious, but like what makes these users stick rather than being reward chasers? Because I would assume that when you grow your platform, there's more and more users, and you want them to install more games and engage more in those games. That's good for the platform, but at the same time, that might not be good for the companies that are buying users, because the users that are best for your platform are the maximalist reward chasers.
When I started Vibes, I knew there's going to be a challenge of understanding the balance point between what is best for Vibes in terms of revenue and what is best for our clients, right? Because the business model is pretty straightforward, right? The more games the users will download, the more money we will make. But as a company agenda, you want to create as much value as you can for the game studio. So there's always the question like, okay, so when do I push the user to download another game? And what I saw and what we saw in the data is that we don't need to push them. It kind of happens in a very natural way, and in a balanced way. So we don't really need to push them to download more games. Even the flip side, the way we work and the way we build our user journey is that, I'll give you an example. If a user downloads a game, the second he will come back to VYBS as an app, he will see the game that he downloaded or the games that he downloaded. And we're going to push him to go back to the games because we understand, like in a natural way, if he'll get bored, he will just discover new games. He will download something else, like obviously every other person. So it's our job to push him more and more to be engaged with the game he downloaded and create value to our friends in the game studios.
Stay ahead of the competition with Sensor Tower, the trusted source for mobile marketing intelligence. Whether you're tracking trends, benchmarking performance, or scouting the next big hit, Sensor Tower delivers the data that drives strategy. Dominate the charts with Sensor Tower.
Okay. And when do you see studios should be looking into using loyalty apps? Like in what phase of basically their product? Is it something that you take on early when you're in soft launch? Because ideally you can improve your traffic quite a bit for the soft launch by bringing these loyalty users, or is it something that you reserve for a global launch phase, or even for the maturity phase where you're essentially know your traffic and you're focusing on, well, you're always focusing on ROAS, but really focusing on maximizing the value from the game?
So I'll say this. I think that there's a huge advantage of approaching loyalty platforms kind of early. Not too early, because as we said, you need to have enough content. You need to have, to some extent, a mature monetization. Like you need to understand that you have the right tools to work with the user, monetization and content, obviously. Um, the advantage is that, like the way, let's say, loyalty platforms work is that if you'll buy a user from Google, for example, right? A user might create, I don't know, 200% ROAS LTV within 2 years, right? Just for the sake of the example. A loyalty platform will give you 150%, but within 4 months, right? So you kind of sacrificing a few margin points in order to get a healthier cash flow. So it will help specifically smaller companies with their cash flow and their ability to grow and not wait too much. But the one thing I'll give it as an advice, and I always say it to all of our clients, specifically the small ones. You have to separate, in terms of data, the way you save data from users coming from loyalty platforms to users not coming from loyalty platforms. Because what happens is you create a feature and you think it's extremely sticky and everybody adopts it and it's working amazing. But on the flip side, what the game economy or wherever it is didn't know that those users are coming from loyalty platforms. So they're incentivized, so it's behaving a bit differently. So it doesn't really represent the success of the feature you just built. So you have to separate the data if you want to work properly and continue building your game features, mechanisms, whatever it is. That's like
Okay.
one of the biggest advices I think I can give a lot of the companies. Also, taking that to the next step, if you have the resources, you can give a different, let's say, or a more aggressive monetization to users coming from loyalty platform.
So always track them different.
They should get a different treatment if it's doable, and you should track them differently. And I wouldn't say isolate them, but yeah, at the end of the day, the other side, the product person, the game economist, whoever it is, needs to see the differences. when he measures everything.
Okay. How long does it usually take before you start succeeding? And I understand that. So you take loyalty apps when you've sort of stabilized your game economy. So probably not in soft launch when you're making big changes, because in order for loyalty app to work, you have to have a separate type of rewards coming in from the loyalty platform, etc. So that doesn't work. Now you're in a global launch phase. You stabilize your economy. You're integrating the loyalty app. How long does it take before you start getting those benefits? As you said, the paybacks are faster, but what's the integration of the loyalty app? Like, what's the time span?
So there's not obviously one answer. Um, I saw clients that it works off the bat. I saw clients that we need to do a lot of adjustments. Um, Luckily for us, one of the things that we've built is the ability to A/B test, like two reward structure simultaneously. Um, so it kind of shortens the cycles of learning. I see a lot of UI managers making decisions out of pressure. No, they don't come with patience. And I think that's like a huge mistake, because I don't really have an answer if it will take a week or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I can tell you that I saw cases where it took a week, and I saw cases where it took like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and eventually it was a major success. But luckily for us, the other side was patient enough and looked at other KPIs, except for example, was day 7, and he saw that in essence the users are good and it's not there yet, but the raw material is good. You know what I mean? Like, he saw that there's what to work with. And I think, again, if I compare it to other media channels, Google, Facebook, well, Uploving, doesn't really matter. Like, if I would say, what is the learning cycle? They don't really have an answer. They have an estimation, right? Like 4 weeks. It can be 2, it can be 6. It's like, really depends on the game.
And what's the learning cycle like? Like, is it intensive for the developer? Do they have to try multiple different things? Because, like, let's say you take another channel, then your learning cycle is running the campaigns, not stopping them, but also trying very large volume of different types of creatives. What is the
Right.
type of a approach that you use with loyalty app?
That's like one of the cool things about loyalty platforms. I think it's like the only medium left that you have actually something to optimize except creatives. Because everything is kind of like a plug and play, right? Doesn't matter what kind of platforms you go into. It's like self-optimizing. All you need to do is just like replacing creatives a lot of the times. And with us, you have, as I said, the reward structure, right? And you have the different events. And a lot of the times we also work very intimately with our game studios, with our partners, to adjust our promotions to specific events that we're pushing the users towards. We try to make it as intimate as possible. So at the end of the day, it depends if the client that we're starting to work with has past experience, yes or no. If he has past experience, so usually we'll start with asking the best practice. What does he know that works? And then obviously based on our know-how and our expertise, we will adjust a few things. And most of the times we will start running in an A/B test with like two different structures. Like, what do we think will work best and what his best practice? Um, and we track it all the time. We try to understand like the user progression. If there's like a specific task that users are dropping before they don't have enough time to achieve, or whatever it is. So there's a lot of optimization, but most of the work is being done by us. We try to work with the client in terms of like getting the information, getting data what we needed, and get his recommendations when he can bring it to the table. But all of the work is being done by us, by our team, and we recommend the client what we want to do.
And how do you work with events? Like, can you use loyalty app to amplify the seasonal events or different type of in-game events or brand partnerships that are happening inside of a game?
Yeah, 100%. So we, in terms of events, obviously there's like, let's say, the given events within the game based on user progression. And then, as you said, you have seasonality. If it's Halloween, if it's Christmas, if whatever it is, if there's like a special promotion, a live op, whatever it is. So we're a lot of the time try to add those type of events, because you have to understand, with us, it's not just like a flat reward structure, like achieve level 5, 10, 15. It can be all of a sudden we'll give you like something in the sorts of um, achieve the Halloween album within the next 5 days and win this and that. So we will push to do things more dynamically, and things that are more, I wouldn't say real time, but more real time and season related, and work with the client to push for those things.
Game devs. Here at Heroic Labs, we know that great gameplay is what players love, but integrating metagame features like challenges, progression, and rewards is crucial for retention and monetization. But coding them is a tedious and time-consuming process. That's why top studios have turned to Hero from Heroic Labs. Hero provides a complete suite of battle-tested metagame features that are quick to implement, letting you spend more time on the core gameplay experience. Ready to ship fully featured, engaging games? Check out Hero today at heroiclabs.com.
And when it comes to the mistakes that studios might make with loyalty apps, like you mentioned, one of them is just expecting immediate results or treating it as any other channels. And you talked about how important it is to track them separately, how important it is to give time to it. What other mistakes do you see studios doing when they're venturing out and using loyalty apps?
So I think those are the major ones. I think also the last thing I see, they try to give unrealistic KPIs, because I think they think to themselves, okay, I'll push him like 30% more than what I want, and worst comes to worst, he will give me what I actually want. And I think that's a mistake, because a lot of the times, and where do you call the bluff? When you tell the client like, okay, amazing, but, and he says, okay, I want more scale. And I was like, I can't scale. The KPIs are too high. It doesn't make sense. And again, it's not all of the clients. It's not even most of them. It's some of them. I think it's a mistake, at least.
Understand. Understand.
I think, by the way, it's a problem with every channel in the industry. Like, you always say more than what you really want to get.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, especially with every new channel, like studios looking for growth, and in order to stand out, the new channels come in and say we can deliver the better traffic than your previous channels. But the problem is that these new channels are new, so you don't have experience with them, and it probably takes time before the traffic is as good as promised. And when you're comparing them against your existing channels that you've mastered, then it's not as good. And that might be the time when you're just saying, okay, this is all bullshit. It doesn't work. Let's just double down on the channels that we know.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you open more channels because you want to have healthy infrastructure to scale, right? And every channel behaves differently. And I think that, and now I'm taking a step back. It's a very,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, philosophical um, conversation at the moment of like, all the time, the way I see it is that a lot of the times, and I see it with, let's say, small networks, is when companies ask for too much, like extremely high KPIs, what it causes sometimes, I saw that, it creates fraud, because those small networks just wants the client and they want to make them happy. So, and they're saying, okay, I can never achieve those KPIs and actually make a margin. So I need to do something, right? And I think that's like one of the things that are pumping the fraud in the space. And again, we saw it in a lot of cycles in the past 15 years, but that's why I'm against it. Like, say what you really want to get, and attach it to what the game can actually make. Because sometimes, okay, you want 30% day seven, amazing, Does your monetization structure supports that? Is it doable? Like, so uh, that's the way I see it. Again, personal opinion.
Talking about the future of loyalty apps, like how do you see them evolving from today?
So I think we're just scratching the surface. So there was a couple of years where loyalty platforms were at the sidelines. Now it became a mainstream thing. It became a major traffic driver. Obviously, that created um, a situation where different companies are putting people that will specialize in loyalty platforms. And now that there's enough attention from the game developers to loyalty platforms, and it's worth the effort. So now we always think like, what's next? And that gives the stage to bring to the table more products. So one of the things that we're doing now, for example, and it's going to be interesting to see how it will evolve, is we just launched a monetization product for game developers based on the loyalty engine. So it's going to be, and that's like a new product to the market. We see it works extremely well, but also it will be interesting to see how it unfolds in the next couple of years and how it progresses. As I said, working more intimately, creating special treatments to users, connecting, as we said, like promotions, live ops, stuff like that, as in real time as possible. That's like a bunch of examples. Obviously, I don't know what I don't know. I just see that I'm getting a lot of feedback. Like I see our partners are thinking very strongly. How can they get more of us, and what kind of products we can build for them based on the existing platform? So I think that like would be the basic of driving, let's say, loyalty platforms to the next step. And obviously, everything becomes more sophisticated with more sophisticated models, from prediction to economy to whatever it is. So I don't have like a cut clear answer, but like I see why it will go to the next step.
How do you see the effect of the app stores, so both the Play Store as well as the Apple's App Store evolution affecting loyalty apps?
I don't think they give the value to the user that we give. It's a different offering to the user. Um, Obviously, as I said, we work differently with the game studio. We work very intimately with them. Um, don't really think it will affect. It's like it's a different product. It's very similar, but in theory, but it's a very different product.
Okay, because there's evolution coming into those app stores. Like Apple released their new game app store. I forgot what it's called, and Google is always trying to improve the experience on Play Store for it to be more personalized. And now with AI assistants, etc. So they are clearly taking some notes on how the loyalty apps have been developed as well.
So I don't know. I don't see it affecting in a bad way. Um, to be honest, I don't see. Let's take it to the extreme. I don't see that Google Play will give real world prizes to users. Obviously, I see a bunch of experiments here and there, but I don't see it happening.
Okay, what do you see the effects of AI being on loyalty apps?
We treat ourselves as a game studio, um, and the effect it has on us is just, I would say, behind the scenes being more efficient, like creating from creatives to building code, being more efficient there. That's like the way I see AI affects us, at least at the moment. It just makes us more efficient.
This podcast is brought to you by AppsFlyer. In today's digital world, understanding your app's journey from discovery to download is more than just insightful, it's essential. Enter AppsFlyer, the leader in mobile attribution and marketing analytics that allows you to measure the full potential of your marketing efforts, making every ad dollar work smarter. With AppsFlyer, that's your new reality. Dive deep into data-driven insights that reveal exactly where your users come from and how they'll interact with your app. AppsFlyer, where your app's potential meets performance.
How do you take AI into account at VYBS? Is it part of your processes, or like, are you pushing it for more, or just being more of a follower? It's because
So at the
there's like different
moment,
types of approaches.
no, 100%. So I'm not like writing on my flag AI first. Everything has to be AI. We have to implement AI 100% in everything. Uh, that's not me. I'm trying to kind of, I think like a lot of people, I'm trying to kind of understand what are the benefits and not force it just to say that I'm AI first. Um, as I said, we use it in our engineering team. We use it within our marketing team. Um, we try to use it where we see value and where it makes us more efficient. And we adopt it like step by step. We don't have someone that his entire position is to adopt AI tools and experiment. It's not the case yet. Maybe one day.
There's just different approaches, and I see some of the companies, especially with tech companies, they are pushing everybody to explore the ways to use AI to validate the tools that they are building, essentially. So
Yeah.
it's kind of an interesting way to find the product market fit is forcing your clients to do it for you. But yeah.
Also, by the way, I think because my partners uh, love it so much and they play with it so much, is that I feel comfortable not pushing it because I know they will find the things that are relevant for us.
All right, let me finish this up with 5 rapid fire questions about loyalty.
Okay.
Let's call it loyalty lightning round. So let's start with the first one. What's the best way to spot a low quality loyalty user?
You will see it within the progression between tasks. He will just drop. You will see it immediately.
All
It's
right,
very evident.
through engagement KPIs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
All
will
right,
see.
well, let's talk about KPIs more. What's the single KPI a game teams ignore, but they shouldn't?
Um, was progression.
ROAS progression.
Yeah, a lot of the times it's like flat, like day 7, day 14, day 30. Okay, divide day 30 at day 14, see what's the progression, what are the jumps, and maybe it's not exactly hitting your KPIs, but maybe it's being progressed very fast or very good. I think it's something they should look at as well.
Is that same as shape of the curve of the LTV per cohort?
Mm,
Meaning sometimes you would see a cohort coming in
mhm.
and they are going pretty fast towards payback, or might even cross it. And you'd say, hey, this is great. Let's push more of this. But they actually flatlines quite quickly after hitting payback. And then there's sometimes, depending, of course, on a game and a channel, you would
Yeah.
see a cohorts come in and they start lower, but the shape of the curve not never really flattens.
Yeah.
It keeps on continuing slowly. And
Because the
those are actually the
cadence is
best.
healthy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they stick and they play and they continue, and those are actually the best type of users because the shape of the curve is constantly increasing, meaning that the players retain and they continue spending, even though the early spending is not that high and early engagement is not that high.
Yeah. 100%. Sometimes, even if, let's say, a cohort doesn't hit the, let's say, dry KPIs that you want, but and it starts lower and it even doesn't hit the KPI that you want at day 30, but the progression is super healthy. So like the curve would be good.
All right.
I would just say like it's something that it should be. I mean, I look at it internally. I think all game studios should look at it. I assume some of them are. Um,
Right. Well, let's move on to the next one. What's the one genre that you think loyalty apps will completely transform?
mm, I don't think there's one genre. I do see that casual games are getting a lot of benefit because their recouping cycles are short by default, regardless of loyalty platforms, or shorter. And loyalty platforms can even make it way shorter for them. So all of a sudden, they have like a very good engine to scale in a healthy way.
Okay. And what's the biggest myth about incentivized players that you think is out there?
If you've been like me in the industry for 15 years, when you hear incentivized, you hear cheap installs in 10 cents, users that open the app, and if you remember back in the day, burst campaigns and stuff like that. So that's the association. I think it's a myth. It's not relevant for today. Today, we lure in to our platforms users that are extremely high end, and we pay a lot for them, and it's very good users.
Last one. In one sentence, why should every developer test loyalty platform this year?
So, as we said throughout the podcast, for fast learning curves, fast recouping, I think that equals healthy growth.
All right. Ido, floor is yours. What's going on with VYBS? And what should developers expect from the company in near future?
So a lot of good things are happening. We're growing pretty fast. As I said, we just launched our monetization product as well. That looks pretty promising. We are hiring. So if you're a talented person, look us up. Except that, just good things. That's it. We'll hear more about us, I assume.
Grinding, growing, and monetizing.
100%.
All right. On those three notions, thank you for giving the 101 on loyalty apps. And thanks everybody for listening. Check out VYBS, VYBS, and link in the description. So thanks everybody.
Thank you.
You did it. You made it to the end of the episode. As a fan of the show, it would help us out if you'd subscribe and leave us a review on the podcast service of your choice. Those stars and likes, while a small action on your part, mean a lot to us and help to grow the show. More importantly, are you a member of the Deconstructor of Fun Slack group? If you have 5 years or more of games industry experience, go to deconstructoroffun.com/Slack and apply to join. Join the games industry best professional community filled with peers always willing to lend a hand, or subscribe to our newsletter to get all the latest insights from the Deconstructor of Fun content creators. Thanks for listening.